So today is very, 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 very special because we're going to meet Lakshmi. Oftentimes what eclipses will do is they'll stir some things up, right? There might be some crunchiness internally or externally or both. Things will start to arise. They were already there, but the eclipse kind of starts stirring and bringing them out, like the churning of the ocean, and the poison comes first, right? This is an ancient Hindu mythology. The churning of the ocean. We have the demons on one side, we have the devas on the other side, the gods, and they're churning to try to get the amrit, the nectar. Well, the first thing that comes up is the halal, the poison. And so this is what it's like during an eclipse. We're in that churning, and the first thing that comes when we start to churn, when we start to move the energies, move the karmas inside ourselves, the poisons come first. We call this in tantric sadhana the purification part of the process. So that happens first, and Durga is a very, very wonderful ally during that part of the process. But then part of that same mythology is the birth of Lakshmi. So we think of it as like the ocean of milk, right? It's like this nectarous ocean. And after the poison comes and Shiva swallows it, because he's the only one who can handle that level of poison, he swallows it, and then pretty soon Lakshmi, they're churning, I think a wish-fulfilling horse comes out, and then Lakshmi comes out, and Vishnu is pretty much like, mine, I'll take her, she's, yeah, mine, dibs, out of all the gods, and of course she goes to him because they were meant to be. But Lakshmi comes from that process. So what do we know about Lakshmi from that story? We have to do some work before we can call upon her. We have to clear out some of the poisons. We have to clean up some of the debris. And then Lakshmi comes, the beauty, the bliss, the balance, the harmony, the sustenance, the sensuality, the joy of being alive. And there's more to the story. I'm not going to go there. Amrit does come, and more happens, but we're not going to go into that today. Come to India, and we're going to go talk about all the stories to the end. But this is what we know about Lakshmi. So she comes from that ocean of milk, that nectarous place inside of ourself, and she comes after we've done some cleanup work. Durga will come when we're in the mess. Kali will come when we're in the mess. Lakshmi will not come when we're in the mess. She's like, no, no thank you. So what I'm so overjoyed with is that Lakshmi is here. She has majorly entered the building. So I have a very interesting relationship with Lakshmi in that she will give me very specific instructions. She'll tell me what to wear. I had a whole outfit picked out, and she was like, no, you're wearing this and this and these earrings, right? And I tried to get away with not putting on eyeshadow, and she was like, no, you're putting on pink sparkly eyeshadow. Like, she'll just be so specific. And I always know when Lakshmi comes because she starts bringing these little signs and symbols, and she'll be very clear about, no, you have to do this, and I want this, and you know, to the point that I have like my main mala that I use for almost all the other goddesses, but Lakshmi had to have her own mala, and it was a very specific one. So not to say Lakshmi she's not the material, but she requires things of us to attune to her in this very interesting way. I went to go put on one of my red bindis today, and she was like, sparkly one. So to sparkly bindi today. So she's really, and who knows, she might not show up for you in the same way, but she can be really delightful. When I was doing her sadhana in like a long-term commitment, she one of her vahana, so her vehicle that she rides, is actually an owl, which I thought was very interesting. So there were owls all over. I would hear them every single night. I went on a moonlit hike, and there was one sitting in a tree. I could see the great horned owl. Like, they were just all over. So and Venus was in the sky every night while I was doing her sadhana. It was just like, I met my partner during that sadhana. Like, Lakshmi just really, she's the overflow. She just gives and gives and gives, but she does require things of us. Usually they're pretty nice, fun things. But she'll be like, you have to redo the altar. You have to clean the space. You need to, and she'll be, if you have that kind of connection with her, which it's all different. Some people will reach Durga really easily, but not Lakshmi. Others will reach Lakshmi really easily, but not Durga. It depends. For me, Lakshmi and Durga are like my girls. They're very accessible, and I have a very deep connection to both of them. So Lakshmi is the overflow, and she brings so much light, and it's really whatever's been stirred up during this eclipse portal, we're now just going to pour the cracks, the darkness. We're going to pour light. We're going to pour nectar into that space until it's just overflowing with beauty. That's what Lakshmi will do. And Lakshmi is very often mistaken as the goddess we go to when we want a new car, or we want, we want things from the external realm. But Lakshmi is one of the best ways to access Lakshmi is through generosity, is to become that overflowing vessel. That is the higher teaching of Lakshmi. She will fill your cup to overflowing, but not for you, so that you can give to this world, so that you can be a conduit of her grace. And she also tends to work more in the orientation of you become aware of how much you already have than giving you more. Because how many of us, some people do need more. And Lakshmi knows this. She's holding the whole balance of the world, and she's like, yeah, you think you want that, but look what you already have. Meanwhile, this person needs something. This person actually needs food. Lakshmi will meet our basic needs first and foremost, right? She's the one to go to when we really actually need help in the material realm. Otherwise, we go to her to find a deeper sense of inner riches, a deeper sense of abundance, a place where we are seated in the energy of prosperity and overflow. Overflow is more accurate than abundance or prosperity or any of this. Lakshmi is the overflow. I think of her as like a toroidal field. It just never exhausts. It just gives and it gives and it gives, right? And what's so important about Lakshmi practice at this time on earth. No, I'm going to go to the next teaching first. We're going to come back to this because it'll be even more poignant then. So Lakshmi is visualized with like the image, and she's wearing a red sari in the image I shared with you. She could be wearing red or pink. Those are her favorite colors, red and pink. And today she wanted these orange flowers. I was at the store and she was like, this one and this one. So that's what she wanted today. There's some like pinky, it's very much like a sunset kind of colors. So she has 4 arms. The top 2 are holding fully bloomed lotuses. The bottom 2, one is like pouring, and oftentimes we see she's holding a pot and it's just spilling gold coins, which is that overflow, right? She's just overflowing gold, riches, beauty, all of it. And then the other hand is offering us a blessing, right? And it's whenever we see the downward facing hand, so we often see like this posture in deities. This is my right hand. So it's almost always the right hand is here and this one's here. And this one is Abhaya Mudra. And Abhaya Mudra is generally saying, don't worry. It's relieving fear, right? And so one of the places that so many of us can have fear is like scarcity. Will life provide for us? And Lakshmi says, don't worry. But she's also granting blessings with this hand. So it's a blessing and that boon of like, don't worry, you're taken care of. I've got you. And this hand is in, I believe it's Varada Mudra. I have to look that up. Abhaya and Varada Mudra. Same mudra, hands are just like this, One's up, one's down. And this is the one that's just pouring blessings, pouring blessings, pouring blessings. So whatever deity, sometimes you'll see a deity just holding one or the other. Sometimes they're holding both. This is like the very classic goddess pose in classical Indian dance, or in kind of iconography of the goddess, many different goddesses. Dispelling fear, granting blessings. We can also put this towards our obstructions and liberations. So she's helping to remove obstructions and offer liberations. Or we could also think of it as dispelling the poisons, pouring the nectar, this kind of thing. So this is always what we're working with in tantric practice. So Lakshmi is holding all of those mudras. Now her 4 arms are symbolic of some of the 4 of the main aims in life, which are dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And what's so beautiful about Lakshmi is she's such a tantric goddess. In her tantric form, we call her Kamala, which is the lotus born. Kamala is that's what the meaning of that is. But even if in her more Vedic form as Lakshmi, she is so tantric because she tells us you can be in the world and also attain moksha and also attain liberation. You don't have to give all of this up in order to get there. And so Dharma, we're going to go super deep into Dharma in month 6, okay? So just to give a nutshell explanation of Dharma, it's not what we see a lot of people explain it to be in the West. It is not your mission and what you're supposed to do on the planet. That can be connected very much so, and we will look at it through that lens of how do we connect the principles of Dharma with bringing our work into the world, and what does that look like. But Dharma at its root means it's like an adherence to goodness in every aspect of our lives. So it's almost like a moral code in some ways, but not in like a dogmatic way. Dharma operates on the principle that we all have an inner compass that lets us know when we're putting forth ripples of beauty or ripples of pain and ugliness, right? Who's ever done something and immediately afterwards you were like, ooh, because we weren't in alignment with Dharma in that moment, versus when we are generous, versus when we give someone kind words, how do we feel after that? Dharma and karma are like very interconnected. So Dharma is walking in accordance to our ethics and our values and our, integrity and authenticity, and it's not this kind of egotistical co-opting of those principles. It's really when it's stripped down and you're really living from source, you're really living from essence. What does that look like? We're walking in accordance to our that inner moral compass. And Dharma also very much connects with spirituality, true spirituality, right? What are the precincts of real spiritual traditions? Kindness, generosity, stillness, like these kind of things. We're really starting to live that. It's right action, knowing what to do and when for the greatest good of the unfolding, right? Dharma is very much in service to the greater whole. Dharma is always going to be cohesive with the whole, right? So we talked one time about sovereignty within coherency. Yes, sovereignty is wonderful, but sovereignty is bullshit if it's not in coherence with the totality, right? It causes harm. We see this all over the planet. So that's Dharma. Now Dharma, Lakshmi is very much into Dharma. This is the I have to prepare the space before she comes, right? If I'm an asshole, Lakshmi doesn't want anything to do with me. Nope. So we have Dharma. Artha is wealth, but it's wealth in the largest sense, right? So Lakshmi does say we can have the material things. We can enjoy our life through the 5 senses, right? And so Artha is that she will give us everything we need. She will give us the food. She will give us the shelter. She will bring in the money when we need it. She will take care of us in that way, right? We all need, Artha is important. When you look at someone in poverty, you see the effects of the lack of Artha. So we can't pretend in this material realm that we don't need material things. We do. And Lakshmi will help us take care of that. But we have to keep Artha in the balance with Dharma, with Moksha, and with Kama. So Kama, what is Kama? Who knows what Kama is? You can type it into the chat if you know. Pop quiz. I can't tell if anyone's typing. No? Okay. So Kama is desire in its puristic kind of translation. But we could also say it's pleasure. We could also say it's bhoga, enjoyment. So Lakshmi says Dharma is important, right action, living in accordance with our ethics and values and moral codes, being in harmony with the totality, acting in service of the greater whole. And Artha, all of our material needs can be met, and we're allowed to, create wealth and generate wealth, but ideally then we're overflowing. We're not just hoarding. We're like, there's a new word for it, distributing. I can't remember, there's a word for it, but you know what I mean. We're not just for me. It's not greedy. It's like we receive wealth, we become overflowing, we become vessels of her abundance. And then we move into Kama. And here's where Lakshmi is, she says, enjoy life, enjoy being in a body, enjoy the gift of the 5 senses that I've given you, right? Make love, smell a flower, eat food. She didn't make, Lakshmi sustenance. Food is actually an amazing example. Like when you eat really good food, it's like orgasmic, right? Lakshmi wants you to enjoy the process of nourishment. Music, when you hear really good music and it's just like it takes you, right? Or when you make love, like she wouldn't have made lovemaking so delicious and divine and intoxicating if we were not supposed to do it, right? And so she says, yes, enjoy this beautiful life. Experience this life. Follow your bliss. But keep it also in the balance of Dharma. Keep it in the balance of Artha. Keep it in the balance of Moksha. So finally we arrive to Moksha. And Moksha is liberation. So Lakshmi will give that too. Lakshmi is so much light, and she's the light that just fills every crevice of the darkness until we know who we are.